so it's a soda pop run. Red Bull and Dr. Pepper. 7-Eleven. Right there is a church. It's got a bell out front, Mount Zion Baptist Church. They have a bell out front of it. It's an older church. A lot of this is in the Wesleyan area. This is where I first learned theater and things like that, down this way, off of Rosedale, Texas Wesleyan University. That's where my first theater school was at. That's where I was introduced to Uta Hagen. That's where Ken Stilson taught. And where we did Streetcar Named Desire. We did Hot L Baltimore, Lanford Wilson, Hot L Baltimore. We did all that off of Rosedale, an area that's very similar to this. Then later I would go to UNT, University of North Texas, and have more of a music influence. And then later I'd be accepted to the New School University Actor Studio Drama School. And that's when 9/11 happened, and I changed my plan and decided to follow more of the writer side of me. I've always kept my guitar with me. And it does keep me company, the guitar. Wesleyan was also the first place we took film videography, where we learned about film through using video cameras. And we were even responsible for setting up shots, working the cameras, working the editing room. We learned all that at Wesleyan, Texas Wesleyan University. UNT had their own special film department, but it was radio television film. And I had been around in that department too, just kind of snooping around, learning from other filmmakers and stuff like that while I was there studying theater. Theater was always the first thing. That was the thing that I was always studying first, because it incorporates all of it. And the performance, which is the most important. The performance is the most important of it all, because that's the human speaking, the human being being a human being, you know, learning how to be a human person. And learning character and how to write and how to do things. It comes from theater. It's older, it's more ancient, but the film can be used as your stage. It's a platform. It's how do you emulate the platform is what film, media, video, vlogging, all of that stuff emulates. But you use it to your advantage so that you can speak more clear and show your story in a more vivid way, rather than just have everyone come up to the stage and say, okay, this is nice, looks like it's going to 1500 Main Street. And it really implements the world as your stage. You start realizing how to use the world as your stage, just like Shakespeare talked about. Somewhere 1500, that is a graveyard, so I don't think I'm going to be delivering a Red Bull at a graveyard. But I am going to be looking for 1500, wherever that may be. These are kind of tricky. I kind of like to show these, because these are kind of like the drops where you're kind of like, well, where in the world is it? I know it says Main Street 1500, so it must be that one. Yep. That must be the building right there. 1500 Main Street. I actually know this place pretty well. I've stayed here for a while, a couple weeks. Until I got better. 1500. Or as well as I could. I'm thinking it's probably that building. I'm gonna have to call them. It's because it's South Main, and this isn't South Main. I made this mistake not very long ago, and I've talked about it several times on the show, that if you have, for example, like South Main, an S right there, there's the graveyard. I guess it's a hospital graveyard. No, it's saying that it's right here. And that doesn't have GPS network right there, doesn't have an address on it. Possibly maybe this building, which is on the other side of the graveyard. And it's correct, it does have the S there, so it is South Main. Maybe it's this patient center here. me see. Nope, that one's 1,400, but maybe they'll know. If I go in, I can ask them. They can direct me. This is close, because that's 1,400. So it is originally that other one. 2 Red Bulls and a Dr. Pepper. Sounds like a tech. A nurse tech. I'll spin back around. Yeah, when I was in college, when I was at Wesleyan, I needed like 2 weeks of rest, and I had to stabilize, because supposedly the rumor was that someone put something in my drink at a place called the Village in Dallas, and it caused me to kind of go haywire, and I had to recover from that. Take some things called Risperdal and all this other stuff, and eventually Zoloft. It took me some time. And what I've learned recently is that there's been some deaths in New York City because of the same exact thing. Some people have died because of Mickeys. They call them Mickeys. People drop it in someone's drink, and someone died because of it. And they were just trying to get information off of them and dropped it in their drink. Sometimes they end up in places like this for a while to get better. Detox. I'm gonna say it probably is this one. So we kind of have a designated area. I call it the circle. This is JPS, also known as John Peter Smith, and it's right off of St. Louis Avenue, or St. Louis, or I think it's Lewis Avenue, which is interesting because I have a character in the screenplay, Grace, and his name is Lewis. It's spelled the same way as that avenue. It's very strange. Yeah, his character is called Louis, or Louise, St. Louise. That's how they say it. That's probably why I wrote that. St. Louis Avenue, that's how you say it. But I think I call him Louis in it, but it's spelled Louise, so he'd be called probably Louise. Yeah, that makes just as much sense. She said she's gonna meet at the circle right this way. Right here. Looks like I'm gonna have to leave it right here. Let them know. I guess she's gonna have to meet me here because we're not on the same page on, you know, where she's located. So I'll just wait here to make sure she gets the package. So that'd be the best thing to do. And that's the circle, because I told her about the circle. I don't know if she's over here or over here. I'm assuming probably over here. Designated drop-off point. I don't see why they wouldn't have one. Well, she says she's outside, so I'm assuming she's probably on the other side of the whole revolving doors. So this is the front side. All right, she got it. It was a nurse. So she went to the other revolving doors. So there must be revolving doors all around the hospital. Anyway, good thing. So it's kind of a lesson in, you know, waiting. I took a couple of photos of this, I don't know, circle, whatever this is, a roundabout. And then she was like, oh, okay, that side. But I had to take a few photos of this not the whole thing, but just the front part, and she thought it was over that way. So. Right here next to the hospital is a skate park, where when they get injured, they can just take them right to the hospital. Right down that way, right off Hemp Hill. There's the hospital that way. So I guess currently we are on Hemp Hill. That's where the skate park is. That's cool that they had a skate park. Thank goodness they didn't have it when I was in high school. So I already broke my ankle at the skate park. I broke my ankle at Dove Park. It was called Dove Park, and they had a little skateboard ramp there. Anyway, we got another one. I broke that ankle at a skateboard park, and well, it was called Dove Park, but it had a skateboard ramp there, a mini ramp, when I was 15, and it changed my life. It changed my entire life. It was a spiral fracture to my left ankle, this one right here. I had to learn how to walk again and go through 6 months of therapy. Completely changed my life. I was 15. There is the parents' coffee shop right there. And that's the Skyline of Fort Worth. We gotta stop to get some gas. We're gonna pick up this next order. Oh, right, information. All right, we're gonna go to a Sonic drive-in and pick up your order and drop it off at your doorstep. From that location, from the hospital drop, it's gonna be 5.2 miles. So we just dropped off at JPS Network. Next, we'll go to the Sonic, and then the next one. I'm trying to get to the point where I vlog the mileage, because that's what they actually do. I can go through these and dictate all this. I do my taxes. Oh, it just changed to 7.6 miles. I guess because of traffic. It'll be 7.6 miles until we go to the Sonic drive-in to pick up your food and drop it off at your doorstep. 4.7, which maybe went down a little bit. So, you know, maybe Biden's doing something. All right, we're gonna go ahead and try this out. And it's got a little thing right here, which I don't like because it gets too taut. But kind of, I don't know. Anyway, it smells like a certain type of herb in this little area. I have to step away from that. I hate when you live by neighbors and you get that whiff of herb. I'm kind of in the middle of a run, so I'm just doing kind of enough to get me there. These actors, you know, because I am a director, I direct my own vlog, and I have done features too. So I have actors on my mind a lot. Female actors like Ella Fanning, who has all this education in cinema and has done so much great work, I think could be a great one to aspire to. There's older actors too, like Bradley Cooper and Mark Wahlberg and all those great guys that I talk about in a personal way, because you feel like you know an actor because you see them for 2 hours straight, probably more than you would see another person. You know, you don't look at a person for 2 hours straight. So you get to the point where you feel like you absolutely 100% know them. There's a lot of them, you know. Ellen Burstyn had a thing, you know, Requiem for a Dream, Jared Leto and all those types. And I remember Billy Coldrip, who also had kind of a connection with a lot of people growing up in that type of like generation, you know. We were like a generation of actors, kind of in a lost generation, even though he's probably late bloomer. Ella's probably Generation Y going into, you know, that new generation. I don't even know if she's Generation Y. You have to look at these different generations and try to figure them out. But because all the generations have different objectives. That generation, you know, like the generation of World War II, they were coming out of World War II, had the objective, they had the objective to procreate. They were the baby boom. They created the baby boom generation, which was the Vietnam generation, also known as the boomers. They were the boomers. So the World War II generation, which they all have names, created the boomers. And the boomers were just everywhere. There was too many people and they started revolting. They certainly didn't want to all fight in Vietnam or we would have won the war. You know? They didn't want to win Vietnam. They did not want to win that war. They wanted to get away from it. They televised it. And it was crazy. It was in the jungle. It was deep. And they stepped on landmines and they got prisoners of war and they tortured them and it was horrible. And people learned about war for the first time on television. You know, in a depth way. In a very specific way. They learned about the Vietnam War. And it made them violent. Now, the Generation X, I think it was a distant war. You know, the 40-year war, or the Long War, as they call it, Afghan War, or the Iraqi War. We could see it, but like through the thermal scope. And at times, it wasn't always broadcast like the Vietnam War was. It wasn't the headline thing. It was kind of like, okay, these soldiers died. Here's the photos. Here's their names. This is the towns they're from. And it happened. But the Vietnam War, they were right there in the jungle with them with the cameras. And you could see these people get shot. And they broadcast it. It was bad for the country. That's why it changed in the Afghan War. But, nevertheless, we all saw something horrible, which was September 11th of 2001. I saw it with my own eyes. And it changed my life forever. It changed the way I looked at things. It made me paranoid and scared. And it was the Vietnam War all in one day. And it was September 11th of 2001. And we all saw those people jump out of those airplanes. Well, buildings. Sorry, it wasn't airplanes, it was buildings. But we saw the airplanes. I don't know if anyone jumped out of the airplane, but they were thrown from the airplane. It was horrible. Trey River. It was horrible. And we did see people jump from the buildings. We thought it was parts of the building falling. We didn't find out that there were people until way later. Maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe years later, until they analyzed it, you know? And it changed you to the point where you're like, listen, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. I don't care the results. That's the type of commitment that I made. And I decided to leave the actor studio after 1 year. I left the actor studio after 1 year because I didn't know, I learned what I needed to learn that year about life, about acting, about technique. I learned what I needed to do in 1 year. I would learn the rest later. I could see the interviews later. I would learn the breath control later. We'll figure it out. Let me go write. Let me go play the songs. Let me go get ready if I'm gonna make a movie, if it's gonna happen. Let me do it on my own, and I'm gonna find a way to do it. And that's where the do-it-yourself generation kind of is. You do it yourself. You pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you start over. Even though you're scared, you're maybe a little hungry, but you find a way to do it. You do it now and you press the button and it goes up on the channel, whether it be YouTube or Netflix. And all the filmmakers are the same. My friend Trish, who I've never met, she's an NYU student, Trish Gillespie. She just made a film called The Fire Took Her, and then she also did another film which was about sick people, and it made it on Netflix. And I'm sure she has the same kind of thought, where she probably saw the smoke coming up from the World Trade, from Battery Park, from Brooklyn, you know, because she's from Brooklyn. And I think she committed her life to, listen, we're going to make movies. We're going to find a way to do it, and we're going to do it now. And then, you know, her option's Netflix. My option's YouTube. So it's kind of a cool thing. And she's a big Cassavetes fan, I guess. And who isn't? Because Cassavetes did the same thing. Well, although he saw the Vietnam generation over a period of, what, 10 years or more? And he saw it every night and got to the point where, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it now. And he made his films like Husbands, right? And Woman Under the Influence. And he made it, and he did not care about the studio. He did not ask for that much money, although Columbia did sponsor one of them. But regardless, he did still do it. He did it his way only. His way only. And now we respect Cassavetes because he did not beg the studios to take over his life like some kind of anesthesia where everything's wiped away and he doesn't have to do anything but sit back and relax and see the whole world unfold before him as he's paid millions of dollars. He wasn't that kind of film director at all. He did it himself. He didn't care about the money. He cared about his friends. And he went out and made a movie. When I met Linda, I decided to have that kind of frame of mind. Even though we were going to do The Filmmakers, we turned it into the Please Subscribe show. But we were going to do The Filmmakers, but Linda was better at improv, and the Please Subscribe show is all improv. So I decided we'll do it that way. You know, we have the filmmakers, we have the script, they have it, they know what it's like. You know, we'll try this new thing. We'll try a new way. We've got new inventors like Adam the Woo, Jacob the Carpetbagger. You got Jordan the Lion and Tampa J and Chris the Girl and Grim Life Collective. These are studios waiting to be every day. And they do it now, and they do it yourself, meaning DIY. They learn to do it yourself. They learn to do it on their own. They didn't need Columbia or Touchstone or Warner Brothers, even though now they'll knock on their doors. And they do. Grim Life has already sponsored a movie through Indiegogo. They already found a way to do it. So we will find a way to do it. And we have the ability in front of us. I got to drop this off. What did I pick up? Oh no, this is Sonic. It's a Sonic drive-in. I got to pick up this Sonic order and drop it off at your door. When you make that kind of commitment, commitment's kind of written in blood in a way, because you see 9/11, you smell the smoke, and you know those people died. And I went there to pursue a dream. I went the hard way on purpose. I knew there'd be a way for me to get there. It would take time. That's kind of a beacon, the Ridgely Theater. It's kind of a beacon. I knew it would take time, and I'll continue to take time. I will continue to take time until I get it the way that I need to get it, and it's right, you know? So we're headed to Sonic. I think I got the mileage, but I'll have to ask for your prayer along the way, because God is in this picture. I know I'm a pilgrim progressing. This is like a Pilgrim's Progress kind of thing, and I have God and the angels on my side. If you think you can beat God and the angels, you got nothing coming, town of vanity. And I've been to House Beautiful many times to be equipped, many times, by beautiful people just like Linda. All right. Coming into the copyright infringement. Actually going to be for delivery, but it's going to be Snickers. It's a 32 ounce. No, I don't know if your screen's working, so I don't know if you'll be able to use the device to pay for it, but it just shows a dark screen. It doesn't show anything else.
No, I don't think the screen is working on this phone.
I'll just show you when you come out here. You might have a device that will work.
Yes, the card will see whenever they go out.
I'm just not going to be able to put the card in, is all I'm saying, because there's no screen that I can.
The card will assist you for the payment whenever they go out.
You want me to go to another stall?
No, right there is fine.
All right, I'll just figure it out when you get here. Thank you.